Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic roundup. Got a decently sized haul. We've covered this week's Fall of X titles. Now it's on to well, our Boom Studios Magic the Gathering offering for the week. Magic the Gathering Planeswalkers, Notorious. I think this is a one shot, though it could in fact be a start of a miniseries. And here's the actual cover. Got Liliana Vess and Soren Markov there. So this is a if this is the beginning of a miniseries, which I don't think, I think it's just a one shot. It's a kind of an anthology, something of an anthology. Planeswalkers, Notorious, not Planeswalker. We've got two stories, one focusing on the Planeswalkers, Calix and Oko, as well as, to a lesser degree, Elspeth, and the other story focusing on Planeswalkers, Liliana Vess, and Soren Markov. Soren, I don't think we've seen it all in the Boom comics. But anyways, the first story is Tangled Strings, featuring Calix and Oko. Calix arrives on an unknown plane and promptly encounters Oko. Apparently, Calix is hunting for Elspeth. So some quick lore. Calix was created by Clothis, the god of fate on Theros, to track down Elspeth after Elspeth escaped from the underworld of Theros and brought a bunch of others that were supposed to be in the underworld with her. Every member of the everyone that escaped was had an agent of Clothis set after them. When Elspeth planeswalked away from Theros, well, turns out Calix could planeswalk as well. But this takes place after the events of Theros Beyond Death, but definitely before the events of Dominaria United, if not, in fact, before the events of Streets of New Capenna. But still after the events of Throne of Eldraine. Oko was the antagonist in the story of Throne of Eldraine. He's a Fey planeswalker. Most notably, he turned Eldraine's king, Kenrith, into an elk. He also, we've recently discovered through the story for Wilds of Eldraine, has a son named Kellen, who is half Fey, half human. And Kellen has set through an omen path in hopes of finding his father. But Oko has recently encountered Elspeth, and Calix is looking for her. But Oko wants a reason to help Calix in his quest. Calix introduces himself, explains his origin, retelling the events of Theros Beyond Death in a very biased manner, as well. That's what he knows is the biased version that was told to him by Clothis upon its creation. But Elspeth did appear on this unknown plane, and Oko offered to help her, but well, she turned down his help, explaining that she has no time for fools, knows exactly where the entrance to Lamel's labyrinth. She knows where the entrance is, and she has a map. So, of course, Oko thought this was terribly rude. And Oko explains to Calix that she went to the labyrinth, and well, he'll take him there. She Calix arrives. With Oko, the two of them, with Oko taking Calix's form, and so Elspeth had to deal with both of them. Calix then encounters Elspeth again, well, except that it's actually Oko, who just decided that Calix bores him. Though Oko poses a good question. After Calix kills Elspeth, what then? Stating that Calix doesn't know what he means, and Oko explains. What will the goddess of Calix, or Clothis, the goddess of fate, do once Calix is no more use to her? Calix will be rewarded. But Oko points out that people get rewards, not tools, not toys. And so Calix walks away, seemingly questioning himself. But Elspeth asks why he intervened, and Oko explains that, Calix was starting to bore him. He does point out that Elspeth was kind of rude and when they encountered one another. Then to be honest, Oko has a degree of respect for Elspeth. After all, she angered a god enough to chase them across the entire multiverse. And Oko turns into a bird and flies away. Our next story, Grave Secrets, takes place apparently some time ago. There are three major characters involved here. Liliana Vess, a planeswalking necromancer from Dominaria. She made a deal with a bunch of demons for, I believe it was Eternal Youth. The deal was overseen by Nicol Bolas. Liliana tracked down the demons she made a deal with and killed each of them, basically hoping that would, nullify the contract. However, as I said, the deal was brokered by Nicol Bolas, so he wasn't dead, and so she was now dead solely to him. She joined the Gatewatch, and after their failed attack on Amonkhet, Liliana was informed by Bolas that basically she works for him now. She led the Dread Horde in the invasion of Ravnica, and actually intended to sacrifice herself to stop Bolas. However, Gideon Jura of the Gatewatch said, "No, I'll make the sacrifice." Liliana was thought to be dead for a while, but she was actually hiding on at the Strixhaven School under the guise of Professor Onyx. Um, in both the games canon and the comics canon, this ruse has been discovered, and yeah, and everyone's kind of like, but those who have discovered the ruse have largely, by and large, been talked down. So like I said, grave secrets. Liliana heard with the other characters. Soren Markov, an ancient vampire from the planet of Innistrad, as an attempt to make sure that the vampire population didn't basically feed on the human population of Innistrad to its extinction. Used his powers as a planeswalker, pre-mending, to create the angel Avacyn. A religion was formed around Avacyn, protecting the people of Innistrad from vampires. Basically, giving the vampires of Innistrad the traditional weakness of religious iconography. And finally, we have Baron Sengir. Baron Sengir is a fairly prominent vampire in magic lore. He's the progenitor of the Sengir line of vampires, which are found throughout the multiverse. Because, well, he had a multiversal portal and, well, apparently sent scouts through it, though they never returned. The last time that anyone saw Sengir was, I believe, Leshrac around the time of the Great Mending, who saw an army being led by Sengir. Anyways, so yeah, Liliana had heard whispers, like an insistent scratching from worlds away. Hidden voices drawing her in, daily secrets for war like bait. So she's in a city of dwarves, with the dark power calling out. The voice she's hearing is from ancient times. There's an obelisk, and but the runes on it are much more. The obelisk there is, and the voice she hears are from ancient times. The obelisk and the runes are more recent, but crumbling is from rapid aging. Liliana recognizes the runes as being from the old Agrothan language, the plane which was taken over basically by Baron Sengir. But Liliana is basically kind of getting the measure of the what's going on when Soren Markov shows up. A fight erupts between the two of them, and the obelisk is shattered, and Baron Sengir is released. With Liliana basically saying, hey, telling Soren, you could have told me that this was Sengir. But Soren is incapacitated and removed from the fight, leaving Baron Sengir to Liliana. Liliana's bitten, but well, she's got protection against that. Soren returns, and Sengir is beaten and once again exiled from the obelisks. Soren and Liliana speak briefly, mainly saying, hey, basically each of them saying, you could have told me what was going on. Liliana leaves, and before Soren leaves, he has a meal of the native dwarves. That is where the issue ends. This is an interesting one shot. Like I wouldn't be opposed to this being the first in a series of in a miniseries, an anthology miniseries. I get the feeling that we're just going to be seeing, for the moment, Magic the Gathering one-shots from Boom Studios. I do hope we go back to an ongoing. It was because the book we had was actually, the ongoing that Boom was producing was really good. But anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Big shout out to Patreon patrons and Lee. Thank you so much for your support. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.